Hey everybody! Today and over the next series of drops leading up to the Writers Unbox Unconference, I want to focus on something I'm going to present, which is how ideas from film can help us in our novel writing. So today I want to talk about how the great director Mike Nichols spoke to his actors about making scenes concrete. And what he meant by that was to make their work specific, make the performance specific so that the scene comes across powerfully and dynamic. And a way that he would talk about that was he'd use a metaphor. And in that metaphor he would say, it's the difference between the king died and the queen died, and the king died and the queen died of a broken heart. And what that means for us novelists is, as we write our scenes, we sometimes overly rely on the interiority, what our characters are thinking and feeling, as opposed to the concrete actions. And if we don't have more concrete actions, we run that risk of becoming authorial in the work. So here are a couple of examples. One time I was watching Mr. Nichols direct two actors in a romantic comedy. So they're in the apartment and they're going to make love for the first time. And the scene as written was very dialogue heavy. And the scene, when he first ran the scene with the two actors, it was good. The actors, their performances were great. The dialogue was great. It was lit well. It was a good scene, but it didn't really pop until Mr. Nichols called cut. And he directed the male actor to bring in candles and light them while the female character watched and thought about it. Then he ran the scene again, and the scene really clicked. That physical action of bringing the candles into the room made the actors, gave them a lot to work with. And we as viewers would watch that scene knowingly that the candles meant that romance was afoot, so to speak. And, think about that with our novel writing. If we bring in a concrete action into a scene, our readers are going to recognize that concrete action, and as well as the reaction of the characters within the scene to that concrete action, and make the work more specific, more powerful, more interesting. So here's another example. This one from the late, great Cormac McCarthy, a writer I admire so much. And this one's from his book, The Road. To set the scene a little bit, it's a post-apocalyptic world, and a father and son are trying to get food, trying to just live, make it through their way as they travel along a road to try to find some sort of existence and meaning. And here's the scene. He walked out through the woods to where they'd left the cart. It was still lying there, but it had been plundered. The few things they hadn't taken scattered in the leaves. Some books and toys belonging to the boy. His old shoes and some rags of clothing. He righted the cart and put the boy's things in it and wheeled it out to the road. Then he went back. There was nothing there. Dried blood darkened the leaves. The boy's knapsack was gone. Coming back, he found the bones and the skin piled together with rocks over them, a pool of guts. He pushed at the bones with the toe of his shoe. They looked to have been boiled, no pieces of clothing. Dark was coming on again, and it was already very cold, and he turned and went out to where he'd left the boy, and knelt and put his arms around him and held him. So in the scene, the father goes to check on this other boy and leaves his son by the road. And what McCarthy could have done was, when the man goes back, he could have just lied about what he had found, the signs of cannibalism. He could have just said something else and they could have moved on. But instead he gave the father this concrete action of kneeling, and not just kneeling, but then hugging his son, which is emblematic of what the whole book is about, the love of a parent that's enduring, even in the abyss of an apocalypse. So again, actions, concrete actions to make the scene really pop. Here's an exercise you might want to try.